Warning. The Wyld Tangents podcast contains material that may not be suitable for all audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello, everybody out there! Alright, well, I hate myself already. My name's Tom. Welcome to the Wyld Tangents podcast. With me today I have...
Matt.
And I'm returning as Charles.
We also have a special guest. I'm sure you'll love him just as much as I do. Uncle Jay.
How's everybody doing tonight? I'm Uncle Jay. Yep. I am the unofficial uncle of all these youngsters and cool cats that you're hearing on this podcast.
An actual uncle of a couple.
An actual uncle of at least one. I'm not claiming more than that.
Alright, fair enough.
Okay, so we're going to play a game today. I got the idea, gonna give credit where credit is due. I got the idea from watching the Screen Junkies podcast, Movie Fights. So if you haven't seen it, go check it out. There'll be a link in the description. It's a great show. But essentially, so what it is, it's going to be a series of debates. The first one I've let you guys prepare for. You'll debate. I'll go ahead. Well, Thomas has had a couple minutes to prepare.
Told about 10 minutes ago.
So you guys will debate. Whoever I think has debated the best, I will give them a point based on your argument alone. So no bias from me. So you'll get a point. Then the next round... Winner of that will get a point. The two people who get points will move on to the final round. If one person gets 2 points, they can choose their opponent to join them in the final round. And then whoever wins the final round will get a super secret prize that I have with me. And they will also be crowned the master debater.
I used to say that in spelling bee.
I've had 32 years of practice.
Oh my gosh.
Wait, that's not what I meant. It's kind of what I meant. It's kind of what I meant.
Sort of.
It's close.
Okay, so round one. Just so the audience knows what's going on, I asked them to defend what was the best decade for cartoons. The 80s, the 90s, or the 2000s. And because the 2000s is kind of already, losing, we're going to include 2000 to 2015. Jay will be arguing for the 80s, Charles for the 90s, and Thomas for the 2000s. So let's go ahead and open with Thomas.
Whoa, we're opening with Thomas. Oh, hey, alright.
So go ahead, actually. Everyone, defend yours. We're going to go around. Everyone just give a quick defense. Then we're going to go back around again, and you can do rebuttals / attacking other people's.
Okay, alright, fair enough. Okay, so I want to open by saying that the last decade and a half has been an incredible time for cartoons. Not only... Hey, we're not at rebuttals yet.
I'm sorry.
Not only have we seen a increase in creative minds creating and producing cartoons, we have seen a very large variety of artistic styles amongst the cartoons. Furthermore, a very large amount of cartoons produced today have been saturated into today's pop culture, not only by the generation whom they are targeted at, but also older generations. And don't give me that horse shit, because I can walk into a Hot Topic right now and I will see 50 Adventure Time products. And where am I going to get your fucking, I don't know, GoBots? They're nowhere, Uncle Jay.
Predecessors to the Z-Bots, but we'll get into that later.
They are absolutely nowhere.
Alright, good opening. Charles?
Okay, so the 90s was, in my opinion, the pinnacle of cartoons and channels actually being made for cartoons. Like, I discovered that Cartoon Network was made in 1992. A channel that was specifically designed for cartoons. We found Batman the Animated Series. We found one of Batman's greatest movies, The Mask of the Phantasm. We found things like the X-Men. So both Marvel and DC were prevalent in those eras. They were extremely, really popular. Nobody can walk around and say, who's Batman? So if you're saying pop culture, walk around, see a Batman t-shirt, see a Superman t-shirt, guess where you found it? The 90s.
Okay. Jay?
Well said, gentlemen. Well said, gentlemen. Now, let me tell you a little story about the 80s. Now, the 80s was an era where actually cartoons really started to pick up and really started to exist. And in today's pop culture, from the 90s all the way until 2015, every single cartoon and every single cartoon writer is copying off of cartoons from the 80s. Look at how many remakes we have to have, okay? The 80s introduced the Ninja Turtles. The 80s introduced a new series and a new spin-off of Popeye, a lovable sailor with arms of steel and a tumor. I'm pretty sure each one had a tumor. But you had G.I. Joe was your 80s competition. You had things like Jim, which is something that is now about to come out in your pop culture again. Oh, yeah. Okay? You have, what do we have? We have Scooby-Doo, which is right there next to, I'm pretty sure, a lot of shit in Hot Topic.
No doubt.
So, let me just start by saying it's going to be a downhill battle for the 90s and a decade and a half of 2000 to keep up with everything that the 80s has supplied both of you.
Okay. All right, so now we're going to go back around. So, Thomas, starting with you. This one, it's not necessarily in order. It's kind of more of a free flow thing. You guys, open discussion. But so now is the time for further defense, bringing up further arguments, and also rebuttal. So,
all right. I just want to open with some, by just listing some of the cartoons that came from 2000 afterwards that were very new in both look, storytelling, or feel. We have cartoons like Courage the Cowardly Dog. We have Samurai Jack. Out came such stations like Adult Swim, which were completely dedicated to the airing of adult cartoons, such as Aqua Teen Hunger Force and recently Rick and Morty. And very recently we have cartoons such as Regular Show and Adventure Time, which maybe might not be the most the original, but they do have some very strong creative elements in them that you just don't see in a lot of older cartoons, especially going back to the 80s. What did the 80s have? Was it just like all fighting and beat 'em ups and
No,
not
at all.
Can you list the comedic cartoons from the 80s?
He will list a billion. You should have said something like Deep Plots.
Deep Plots.
You want funny things from the 80s. Okay, you could hit anything you want.
He
you had
printed out
Scooby-Doo, you had Fraggle Rock, you had the Flintstones.
I want to interject and say that Fraggle Rock was not a cartoon.
Not cartoon.
Actually, Fraggle Rock
there was an animated series.
Son.
There was an animated series of Fraggle Rock.
There was an animated series of Fraggle Rock, which ran from 1987 to 1988.
Well,
not a very long run.
Probably for a good reason.
It went for about 15 episodes, and it was because it was a mini movie that they put into 15 episodes.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Well, shit.
Let's see. You had Ghostbusters, which was a comical cartoon. You also had things like...
You shouldn't have said anything.
I find it comical just because of what it is, but the Karate Kid actually did have a cartoon, if anybody wanted to know. But there were good ones. Little Rascals had a cartoon.
Which reminds me, there's like just an interjection. In like 1991, there's like a Little Shop of Horrors cartoon, and it's so like it's shitty and they sing way too much, and I love it.
And I will top your comedic off with Tom and Jerry.
Originally airing in the 90s though.
It aired in the 80s,
1940s.
The original but it wasn't Tom and Jerry.
Yeah.
It was not the Tom and Jerry show until 1982.
I want to ask Jay a question before there's further discussion.
That is 81.
You just spent a lot of time really just kind of listing off cartoons, but tell me why the cartoons you listed are better than anything you would find in the 90s or 2000s.
Well, see, I was asked for comedic. The cartoons that I would actually like to bring up are cartoons that actually taught something in the 80s.
Oh.
Okay? You had cartoons
Fuck
like
off
the
with your
Care
Captain
Bears.
Planet. The Care Bears?
No, Captain Planet didn't come out until the 90s.
Alright.
Captain Planet was a 90s cartoon, and I'm not going to, completely deny its credibility for some of the things it could teach you. But you did have things, like I said, you had Care Bears, okay? Care Bears was a great, loving show that was actually generated towards boys and girls and usually taught a very good message.
All right, I'm just going to put my nose on that. I do have a rebuttal. It's not aggressive, but I do have a rebuttal for that.
Okay, the Berenstain Bears.
Oh, yeah. Oh, gosh,
Okay,
yeah.
was,
I loved me
was
some
a
Berenstain
cartoon
Bears.
that actually ran. It only ran for a year. It was only a short time, but it was based
legit.
off of the books, okay, that are continuously published today for our new generations to read. No, those are really good ones. Some of the other ones, I mean, you had some other ones like what was the actually California Raisins, mostly focused on music, but they did actually focus on teaching you something as far as a solid message. Okay, so that's what my point is to you. With your 2000s, everything is about cheap little shots and a lot of hidden innuendos that are in every single show and is not actually teaching any kid any sort of a message. I've watched Adventure Time. Yes, I think it's a great show. I enjoy watching it. Do I think it's teaching my daughter something? No.
Quick interjection. Should you be watching cartoons to try to learn a lesson in the first place?
If you are going
you don't
to
want to
be-
go down that road.
If you were going to be a child and be forced to watch a child that is
man.
supposed to be child
The
appropriate
90s.
for you, then yes, you should learn
the
something
90s
from what
was
you do.
all about learning stuff.
Can I bring up one actually that did start in the 70s, but it did finish in the 80s, and everybody from the 80s and aired in 80s time, okay? Schoolhouse Rock.
Yeah. He hit you with that. Oh,
Charles,
man.
he hit you with that too.
No, I was raised on that, so that didn't hit me. That hit me.
Like I
home.
said, you can come at me with whatever your technology looks like, which in my opinion, cartoons like He-Man, things like that, who were done by real artists who spent the time and drew these frame by frame and didn't have to do it rendering on a computer. Okay, this is time put into a cartoon to make it seem flawless.
Okay. I would like pass it over to Charles. He hasn't spoken in a little bit, so I'm gonna give him a time to speak.
Okay, I think, and I'm sorry, Thomas, I'm not trying to team up on you, but the 80s and the 90s were primarily focused on teaching children things, like, and not only Cartoon Network, because I know a lot of us are going to lean towards things that you would think would be on Cartoon Network, but Disney, Recess. Recess was huge. Almost every single episode, you learned something about how you should act or how you should behave, what you should or should not do in a school setting with other children. There was that. You could look at Nickelodeon with Hey Arnold. Things like that. Those things impacted you. That was about, like, children in the city. And there were some comedic moments in there, but there was always something to learn. And then you have things like Cartoon Network's, most of their famous things, like, I don't want to say something that everybody plays nowadays, Pokemon! Which was, you saw that in 4Kids and several other things, but then I'm always going to come back to the defining things of the 90s, like the huge blockbusters, which is Batman, and which is the X-Men. And those were the 90s built okay, we've made cartoons, and everybody loves them. Now, how do we make a story? And then they made things like Batman. They made things like X-Men, with Batman always having to take a step away from his humanity to do these things. You had the X-Men who were away from humanity but fought for it. These things made us want to watch them, not just because they were interesting or we liked the characters. It was because there was a story and we wanted to follow it.
We're kind of almost running out of time for the first round, so I'll go ahead and kind of move towards closing. Honestly, right now, I gotta say it's between the 80s and 90s. Sorry,
Yeah.
Thomas, you fought valiantly.
All right.
But
They
got you on the fact that, I mean, the 80s and 90s is all about education and teaching kids, which really was kind of the best part about cartoons, especially as a child. I mean, you want to do a closing thing before I
Can I mention one thing that did come from the 80s? Totally not a kid's thing either, though, but it was a cartoon from the 80s, and you will all appreciate it. Akira. Okay?
Yes.
One of the greatest movies to ever come out of the 80s.
One of the best animated films.
Flick. Okay, and Heavy Metal.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Heavy Metal and Pink Floyd's The Wall also came out in the 80s and were animated flicks. And if you haven't seen them, you young kids out there,
please do.
You need to stop and watch
Please
these.
do.
Okay, I could go on and on and on about 80s movies that you all quote from 90 all the way until now.
Okay. You said you had a thing?
I'll make some closing statements. Alright. So 80s cartoons. The 80s were a time when cartoons were for children. And they were by kids, for kids. Not in a literal sense, but... and then throughout the 90s was when we started to see some pandering towards adults, but also...
Pandering towards adults? You try to tell me
innuendo.
Mask of the Phantasm was for children?
Innuendo hidden amongst children's cartoons. But it was only during the last recent decade that we have seen a exponential increase in cartoons for adults.
Uncle Grandpa?
Alright, we're not talking about Uncle Grandpa here. We're talking about Axe Cop. We're talking about Rick and Morty. We're talking about Aqualad. We're talking about Futurama. We have...
Ren and Stumpy?
You got
How about that?
Family Guy.
Mm-hmm. Was that wasn't during... Was it Family Guy? Definitely American Dad.
Family Guy, mostly
Family Guy?
I think it premiered in the very, very early 2000s.
Whatever, that show's been going on forever.
What about Simpsons?
Family Guy didn't come out until
Simpsons was like the 80s.
2001.
Yeah,
Simpsons Simpsons started in 89.
No, that's what I'm saying is
they did start in 89 because even I had to look that one up
adult
because I couldn't remember.
So,
Get out of here,
in which case, I got to throw Simpsons out of the argument because all three of you could use Simpsons.
Yeah, Simpsons is a generational thing.
But we have Family Guy, American Dad, what else to say? Rick and
When did
Morty,
Family Guy start?
Aqualad.
Early 2000s.
Early 2000s, I would say.
All right, well, here's my question to you,
Futurama,
Thomas.
yes.
Why are all of these shows... Why do all these shows make the current decade the best for cartoons?
Because beforehand, whereas we had cartoons for just a very specific niche, as in people below the age of, we'll say, 15. We'll go 12. A younger generation. They weren't necessarily geared towards adults. Whereas now we have cartoons that both children, teenagers, and adults can watch. Furthermore, I just want to take a slight stretching step, make a really big stretch, but I want to say that it was also during the 2000s, a little bit in the 90s, but mostly from 2000 on, that internet cartoons became prevalent. Because 80s didn't have no internet cartoons. Who had fucking computers in the 90s?
My dad.
That were running Flash cartoons. So we have a shit ton of incredibly popular Flash animators, such as Eagle-Raptor, Rubber Ross, anyone from Sleepy Cabin, who have made incredibly well-known cartoons that you can only find on the internet.
Okay. Honestly, I gotta say your closing argument was very strong. You're back in the game as far as I'm concerned. You made a lot of really good points, especially like how you tied in the internet.
Thank you.
Might I rebuttal?
Yeah, this is going to be your rebuttal / closing statement.
Okay.
So, also, I'd like to hear a little more about why. I mean, you guys are talking a lot about why your decades are awesome, but you're not really telling me why you're better than the other decades. So, I'd like to hear a little bit of that in your closing argument, Charles.
My rebuttal. You said 2015 was a time where you have your children's shows, your teen shows, and your adult shows. The 90s was for everyone. I could sit down with my father and watch Batman the Animated Series, and he would take it seriously. If I sat down with my dad and showed him something like Adventure Time, he'd be like, what's this nonsense? I've got to do business
But
things.
there are still cartoons from this decade that I could sit down with a family and watch.
You could sit down and watch Rick and Morty with the family, and
not with
watch
the family.
that, and watch that with my family.
How about shows like Teen Titans?
Teen Titans.
I used
my
to watch
father
that
wouldn't
as a
take it
family.
seriously.
Yeah, are you kidding me? I can't sit down and watch Teen Titans.
Not the newer
Now,
one.
no, I love Teen
Like-
Titans, and you do have the Justice League. You have
And the
that.
Justice League.
Good for you. But there are things that are from both our eras, specifically mine, like things I could sit down and watch with Recess, and even if he wouldn't respect it, he would understand the premise, he would understand what the characters are doing in that situation, he wouldn't say that they're completely ridiculous, and he'd say that they have an overarching plot in every single episode. And he would say, oh, there's a moral to this, instead of just saying, well, that was a bunch of just hand-drawn bullcrap. The reason why I say the 90s are better is, one, it brought us together. It was a lot about families. And yes, the 80s had things like G.I. Joe, I believe, but that was like a family, that was an army. And you have Scooby-Doo, which I love, and I don't want to bash, but that was not a family. You have things like Doug. You have Doug, who was specifically about a boy just trying to get along, and his family coming together, and his community coming together for him. It was about family. That's what the 90s was about, and defining stories. That's what you see things being made, like the new Batman movies. They're taking certain things that were from the animated series, that were stories that had been done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times in the 90s. Romance comedies, 90s and 80s. I will say yes, 80s, and even before then. But the 90s, that's what we always keep on coming back to. Things from the 90s.
Okay. All right. Jay, your closing thoughts?
I actually very strong argument from both of you guys actually for your decade and a half. So let me just start by saying that you can't name too many things from the 2000s. Okay, possibly the 90s, of course, and actually your shirt is a perfect example of movies and things that were generated towards kids and were cartoons in the 80s, that every single one of you knows every single song to the soundtrack. The Little Mermaid, that's a point in question, which really dominated Disney for the 80s, which supplied the 90s and the 2000s for everything that they have now. Without the 80s, you guys have no decades. The 80s was the last era of actual good ideas for any kind of a movie plot for a cartoon, any kind of a show for a cartoon, because every single one of you have reused them or rebooted them. Okay, let's see, what else was I going to get at it here? Okay, let's go with this. The 80s, if anything, the 80s taught you, one pretty good harsh lesson in life through a lot of their movies and a lot of their shows, which they actually touched on death a little bit more. And as a father, and having to explain that to your children, is kind of a hard conversation to have. So without some of the cartoons from the 80s, like Land Before Time,
Cool.
All Dogs Go to Heaven, okay, these kind of movies, help teach me in a way that it's nothing from the 2000s is teaching my children. Maybe a few things from the 90s. I'll give you a couple things, but even still, it was all you spoke, Charles, on the 2000s. Doing all these stories that the 90s had already done over and over and over. The 80s had already done them too. In the 70s, there wasn't too much in the way of cartoon except for propaganda cartoons, which Popeye technically was propaganda cartoon that was converted. So let me just close by saying that Garbage Pail Kids rule, and you'll never have things like the Goonies.
Oh, actually, sad story. They're rebooting the Goonies.
All of us feel pain.
All right.
Yeah. Well, okay. So, end of round 1. No more arguing.
Good round, gentlemen.
Yeah,
Yes.
I was really impressed.
Yeah.
Especially
Dark Crystal in the Labyrinth.
Ooh.
Gotta say, Thomas, I wasn't expecting you to argue that hard.
Kudos.
Respect.
It was a hard one.
Based
Respect.
on the arguments given, Thomas, you definitely advocated a lot for the accessibility of cartoons now and how they are for more of all ages. But Charles kind of canceled you out with the whole thing of the 90s were family, and then even the 80s before that, talking about how is even family still because of what it makes the adults think as well as the kids. So, sorry, I don't think the 2000s won it for me. Between 90s and 80s is really hard, both incredibly iconic. Based on the arguments, however, I am going to say 80s, and here's why I say 80s. 90s, very memorable. Yes, it's all about family. But there's a reason we see BuzzFeed's articles like, things only 90s kids remember. Whereas kids nowadays, people born in the 2000s, I think relate more to and have seen more of 80s products. Especially when he brought in Disney movies.
And
that really brought it home.
What makes it better, Where Are They Now picture than Jessica Rabbit at a fucking Kentucky Fried Chicken buying food from Alf. 80s has the best Where Are They Now pictures too. Look them up. Some of them are hilarious.
Throw a couple up.
I feel as though
If
one of the reasons why I respect but slightly disagree is because I grew up in the 90s.
Right. I mean,
So,
don't get me wrong.
Trust me, as did I. You know what I mean?
consolation.
Like, the 90s was a big era for me for cartoons too. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, I was only born in 83.
Yeah. But not to discredit any of the other
No,
decades,
yeah.
because you guys.
No,
my gosh.
yeah.
Really impressed.
Dude,
I thought you were just
should
gonna. You started off downhill, and then you waited until the last second.
Yeah. Like it dawned upon
Just
me
glance
halfway
at
through,
the
like,
list of
most the
80s
stuff.
cartoons. I only highlighted a few that were like some
13
bigger
Ghosts
names
of
and stuff. But
Scooby-Doo.
you had things like Smurfs and Snorks that came out. I don't know if any of you
Snort, I
know what
remember
Snorks
Snorks.
was,
Oh,
but they were the
Jesus
snorkels. They had the little
Christ.
joints that came off of their head that they breathed in underwater.
I
and
recall.
stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
I remember those.
All right. So we
Plus,
have another one?
also, I mean, to be honest, no one really talked about. I was surprised no one mentioned any of the bad cartoons from anyone else's decades. Surprising no one brought those into account, or that no one talked about theme songs.
no. I
think 80s had
trust
very
me, I
memorable
was
theme
I was
songs.
starting to look up songs. I
Yeah.
figured we could just play.
I could just say Mask of the Phantasm. That opening wipes everything off the floor.
I like the Samurai
You could just
Jack
give me
opening.
like a G.I. Joe, knowing is half the battle.
Yeah.
Alright,
And
for the
then
victory.
X-Men.
Right.
That was when things got epic.
Okay, so round 2. This one, I'll give you guys a couple seconds to think of something. But so, a lot of TV shows are starting to come back now as miniseries. We got 24, Heroes, Lost, X-Files is coming back with a miniseries coming out soon. So the next question is, what TV show deserves a miniseries continuation? More than any
From where
other.
it left off?
From where it left off.
From our era.
No, not from all. From any era.
Just from
Any
any
television
era.
show.
I know that I'm going to lose this one, so I'm just going to defer to both
Can
of
I-
you. I'll give an opinion.
Any
but-
TV show ever.
Any TV
Alright.
show ever.
And
Live action, animated, whatever.
can
but
it be a TV show that's already getting a continuation?
no. It has to be something that doesn't have a continuation in the works.
I was gonna say Twin Peaks, but
But that's
I
already in
digress.
production,
I know.
so...
speaking which, I'm super fucking excited. Anyone else?
I've-
Twin Peaks? No. All right.
No,
Not really.
I think you're all on that boat alone, buddy.
yeah.
God, I loved Twin Peaks.
So, let's see, we started with Thomas last time, so, Charles, why don't we start with you?
Oh,
What
shit.
pops in your head?
I don't even
Um,
know.
The only thing that pops in my head, and we had discussed this a while when we were getting dressed and why we said this wouldn't work. is I was either thinking things like The Night Gallery, The Twilight Zone. Now, the reason that it wouldn't work, I'd love to see it done well, because it had been redone as somewhere, I think, in the 90s, where my argument was based, and it was terrible. It was freaking awful. If it's done right, it'd be great. But it's a miniseries, so it's not going to have full traction. If it was a full series, that's when you can actually delve into some of the awesome things that the Twilight Zone had done for just television in general, or the Night Gallery had done for television in general, which was basically giving 30 minutes to tell a story. It was the defining moment for short stories, and actually being able to stop after that short story and sit with either your family or whoever you're watching it with, smoke a blunt, drink something, because some of them were deep.
Oh, we're getting crunk, son.
Oh, yeah, and sitting there and being like, holy crap, that's why we shouldn't be racist. Or holy crap, that's why we shouldn't make fun of women, or that's why we shouldn't make fun of black people, or that's why we shouldn't do something. It was telling you how to live your life.
Okay, so your vote is Night Gallery
Or Twilight Zone.
One or the other.
That's my argument. I know it doesn't stand up, and I know it doesn't, because a miniseries is not going to do it justice.
I'd like to interject.
Hey, you can debate anything.
I'd like to interject.
Don't discredit yourself.
And say that Twilight Zone did already get. I'm not sure if it got a reboot, but it hardly lasted.
It was awful.
It was really bad.
Which is probably why he's advocating a miniseries. Okay, we'll go around. So Jay, what are you thinking about?
Alright, so for something to continue that I would really want to see again, it hasn't been done yet. You kind of got me stumped on this one.
Right?
Hold on.
This is a hard one.
This, it really is, because there's a lot of things, for me, that's why fighting the 80s earlier was a really good debate for me, because there's a lot of things that are about to come out now from the 80s.
Yeah.
There's this whole, 80s turnaround pop culture that's about to rip through everything, and a lot of that stuff was stuff that I kind of wanted to, see continued or rebooted in some sort of a way, whether it's a movie or a miniseries. Evil Dead that they're doing, which is coming out, that was stuff I wanted to see.
Yeah.
As far as anything now that I would really want to see is, there were shows that I wish I could have seen more in depth, but oh man, you know what? I think, in all honesty, I would like something good for my kids to come out.
Okay.
That would be a good mini. I would totally love to see something like Fraggle Rock.
A Fraggle Rock miniseries?
Or something like that. Like a Fraggle Rock miniseries that comes out generated towards kids.
Something like the Muppets.
I would go ahead and give that to you. There is a Fraggle Rock in production right now. But it's a movie starring Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
I was going to say, I thought it was a movie that was coming out.
So if you're advocating for a TV series,
no, I want more
like
a series for them to watch. A movie is, there's so many other movies that are coming out now and in the upcoming years, actually, that are, from good series from when I was younger. That, yes, I wanted to see continued or redone. Or a couple of the ones they've already redone that I see, like Total Recall. I really enjoyed it. It had, good puns from the old ones. But as far as anything to continue, it would have to be something generated towards my kids.
Okay.
That they don't get to see.
All right.
Thomas?
I'm going to go out on a bit of a limb here. If we were to see a miniseries come out recently, Jay, you said something family friendly. That dog over there says something with at least one sort of dog or a bone or something in it. Some kibble
He's
and bits.
old, so he has a lot to say.
Yeah.
Okay.
As long as it doesn't have black people.
I'm not going to say he's racist because he's white and black, but
I've got something
has a problem with
family.
men.
Not only do I have something not kid-oriented, but it definitely was family-friendly. It was okay for the entire family to watch. And it was a TV show that ended very... it didn't have a satisfying ending, to say the least. It was canceled after one season. I'm not going to say Firefly because that show is garbage.
See, the only reason Firefly was ever good is because of the movie that they did make.
Mm-hmm.
That was the only reason it made. And to be honest with you, I didn't even watch Firefly until Serenity came out.
Mm-hmm.
Allison's so pissed off right now.
She named her car fucking Serenity.
I know, well, that's because she's a little queer Mel, and it's it's okay.
But getting back
anyway
to my topic.
Okay.
Some of you, I'm not sure about people in this porch, or certainly at least one of our people who listen to this may or may not remember a show that was on ABC. Yeah, ABC, right? That's Channel 7.
Allison's not.
Called No Ordinary Family.
Oh, nope, she's totally disinterested now.
Basically, a family...
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Alright, let me explain.
I have heard of No Ordinary Family.
A family, their plane kind of goes through... It's like a Fantastic Four sort of deal, except with a family of people. And they all get superpowers.
Unlike the Fantastic Four, who were a family of people.
They get superpowers.
Yeah, but they weren't like related. Not all of them.
Right.
They're flying. And
they were family by friend.
They're flying and they get superpowers because their plane does. I don't exactly remember the plot of it, but they somehow end up with superpowers, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I have superpowers! Let me hide this from the rest of my family." And they try to do so, and I remember the season ending with them all being like, "Wow, we all have superpowers. This is neat." And at that point, they had been fighting crime and shit, individually. They weren't working as a team. But I feel as if seeing a TV show where we get to watch a family fight crime as a group will be very neat. And also, I would like Resolution because the show just kind of ended. And I want to point out also that Taylor Hines...
I'm pretty sure the is like a gavel and means shut up.
Yeah.
Taylor Hines watches the show and he would agree with me!
I just want to, I really shouldn't be arguing against any of you because I'm the moderator, but... Because I'm curious, I want to see you defend this. What makes your miniseries different from... And it's gonna be different and more attention-grabbing than, say, The Incredibles 2, which will come out very soon.
Will?
Very soon, yes.
And also, the Heroes miniseries. I mean, Heroes, all about ordinary people who with extraordinary abilities who are trying to walk the fine line between a regular life and extraordinary life. So what makes your show different and more attention-grabbing?
Excellent question, Matthew.
Little pause
and
there.
I am glad that you asked it.
No, it's not.
Because you see...
He's really not Thomas Donohue.
Does anyone remember...
Pulls a mask away.
Alright, you're out.
No, wait. Wait, I can come back from this.
Jesus, man. The moderator just punched you in the jaw with a question, and you just buckled and you're on the ground.
To answer your question, it won't. But...
Oh no!
What's to set that apart from literally...
From everything else
everything
that's coming
else
out right now?
It would just be going with the flow and everything's, and...
But because nobody has heard about it, and I can guarantee you not that many people have heard about it. The only people that have heard about it are people that are as nerdy as you.
Yeah.
Okay? And look, I never heard of it, okay? Mm-hmm. So if something like that were to come out as a miniseries, I probably wouldn't watch it.
And your argument about it's just like everything else, I mean, part of the original question was what makes your show more deserving than everything else?
I didn't remember the original question.
Yeah, so sorry, you're out.
Did I change my answer?
No. So really it's down, it's
what
between...
is the pen is?
It's between the Fraggle Rock miniseries and the Night Gallery / Twilight Zone.
Can I change mine? I
If
know
Charles
it's gonna
gets to change his, I get to change
It's going to
mine.
give me less credit, though, because it's not as good as the Twilight Zone one. It's just that I want to see this, and I think it would be at least a little bit different than every single stinking sitcom show that's come out.
I mean, I'll hear you talk about it. I will probably not consider it,
Okay.
but
I want to see a miniseries about MacGyver.
Oh.
Revamp MacGyver.
They made a movie a couple of years ago. They called it MacGruber.
No, screw that. Because MacGyver wasn't.
I mean, that's. I'm not gonna say that that's not a valid argument. Like
Yeah.
that's a pretty.
The thing was, it wasn't 24. It wasn't trying to be like, oh, these serious topics. It was a little ridiculous, but at the time when I was watching it, I had fun. I had fun when I watched it, and I felt like I had learned something valuable at the end of it.
I honestly feel like I can break out of prison with some floss and a toothbrush.
And
I
like,
really
obviously-
do. Like I watched him do it so many times.
Yeah.
Like and use bubble gum as an explosive. I didn't know you could do that.
Like, the first episode shows you how to stop, like, a chemical meltdown with some chocolate.
Yeah,
Well, it's like, really awesome. And then Mythbusters came and kicked him in the balls. Really hard.
Okay, so honestly, look, if you had opened with
Yeah,
MacGyver,
no, I know.
that would have been great.
I'm just saying.
Dude, because I totally would have, now thinking about it, I would have totally said like a Chuck Norris series.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, give me
Walker
some
Texas
Chuck
Ranger
Norris.
Part 2.
Yeah, but because of you guys' picks, got to give it to the Fraggle Rock miniseries. Jay doesn't even need to defend it.
Damn, son.
So that means going into round 3. Actually, quick thing. This is actually the correct answer. Was be a Pushing Daisies miniseries.
Oh, fuck me.
Yeah.
I should have said that.
Yeah, that was the correct answer.
Oh, Pushing Daisies.
Pushing Daisies.
Yeah.
Shit.
But hey, it's coming back as a Broadway musical starring the original cast, so we got that to look forward to. Alright, so going into round 3, Jay, you have both points, which means you get to choose your competitor in the final round.
Ooh!
Wait, can I interject?
Ooh.
Yes?
Can me and Charles work as a team against Jay?
Do a little.
I'll take that Pepsi challenge.
Okay,
Take it?
alright,
Alright.
if Jay's
Goku
taking it,
versus
then
Piccolo.
okay. It's Thomas and Charles versus Jay. And we're going to flip a coin to see who gets to choose what. But the question is, who is the worst director? M. Night Shyamalan or Michael Bay? So, between those two, heads, Jay picks,
We've got it.
tails, you guys pick.
We got this easy out of the way.
Oh, and I lost the coin.
No, it's behind you. It's right underneath your seat.
Oh,
I want that to be legit.
it is heads. So, Jay, who are you going to argue is the worst director? M. Night Shyamalan or Michael Bay?
Because I know who I want.
I know
And if
who
I
I
don't
want.
get him, then I'm going to have to be leaning on you for a lot of assistance.
Alright.
I'm gonna. Wow. 'Cause I don't know if I can always blame Michael Bay for certain things, because some of it I do think is like other writers and just. I mean, there's a chain of stupid decisions over here, and then them like Shyamalan guy. The man of the name nobody can really pronounce half the time. Like, give somebody like 4 beers and ask him to pronounce his name. Okay, like it's hilarious. All right. But and the problem is that I like both of some of their movies, to be perfectly honest with you. But I mean, I will argue M. Night Shyamalan.
Okay.
Okay, awesome.
M. Night, so you guys got Michael
Awesome.
Bay.
Awesome.
Michael Bay is the worst
Jay?
director.
Yes.
Yeah,
Awesome.
Jay, because you won, you get the privilege of going first and opening. Tell us why M. Night Shyamalan is a worse director than Michael Bay.
No, I would like to let them actually open.
Okay. All right, passing to you guys.
M. Night
Tell me
Shyamalan.
why Michael Bay is a worse director than M. Night Shyamalan.
Michael Bay, worst director than M. Night Shyamalan.
Okay, what are this is one thing. What are Michael Bay's movies? Like what? Because you have to tell me.
Some of his filmography,
Action
but besides
blockbusters.
the you got your Transformers, Ninja Turtles, but you've also got Armageddon and Pearl Harbor is a
I don't
Michael Bay
remember
film.
Armageddon. What was Armageddon about?
That was. Are you kidding me? That was the one with Bruce Willis and Liv Tyler and fucking the Ben Hufleck and
They're blowing up the asteroid that's going to crash the
Yeah,
Earth.
Oh,
you know what I
yeah.
mean? Steve
Yeah, I do remember
Buscemi's
that.
and that motherfucker on top of the damn
do remember
asteroid.
that.
And then Pearl Harbor is a Michael Bay.
And quick interjection, all action summer blockbusters.
Now, I don't want to just go off of the fact that he continually does action films, but I'm just saying that, specifically that.
Go ahead, pull up a filmography while you guys are talking.
I could not recall, just when he said the name, Michael Bay, and that's just me, but other than Transformers, was that him?
Yes.
Other than those films, which a bunch of people have problems with, I could not think of one thing that he's done until somebody said Armageddon that I was like, oh yeah, I don't remember anybody who had a complaint with that.
Charles makes a good point. Michael Bay has...
Okay, so I'm seeing a face who was like, somebody's like, I didn't like Armageddon.
Charles has very little diversity. I mean, Michael Bay has
very
little diversity.
Whereas
in like Shyamalan, a bunch of different movies and themes came to mind.
I just wanted to point out a couple more of Michael Bay's films. He also directed Bad Boys. That was a Michael Bay film.
Okay.
Bad Boys 2. The Rock, starring Nicolas Cage. He directed that.
Don't remember that.
The Island, Project Almanac.
Okay, I guess.
The 2003 Texas Chainsaw. The 2009 Friday the 13th. The Purge.
The Purge. Wait, which was that? The one?
That's the one where it's one day a year you can just do whatever you want.
Oh, that was the one that was terrible.
He's been attached to a lot of films.
He's been attached
to Coyote Ugly.
And you know
but as a director.
You know what happened to some of these films?
Let me check.
They were awesome premises, but
Michael Bay ruined them.
But since he leached onto them, they failed.
Correct.
Now,
That's good reasoning.
Now, this is what I'm going to do, which is surprising. I'm going to tell you M. Night Shyamalan's fault. Before he made mistakes, he made things that made you think.
Correct.
And he has, Michael Bay and M. Night Shyamalan have the same problem of throwing the same bit over again. M. Night Shyamalan's is, everybody knows it, what a twist! Yes, that's his thing. And then Michael Bay's is how many things kind of explode in one film. Mm-hmm. And both of them get very old very fast unless you do it right. That's why M. Night Shyamalan did very well. Now things came up that his first movie that people had complaints with, and not everybody had complaints with, just a few people. M. Night Shyamalan's problem is he lets the audience dictate what he does next. And yes, that's true, because Lady in the Water, in my opinion, was a really good bedtime story. That's specifically what it was designed for, and people were like, oh no, we don't want that. We want an actual scary movie. M. Night Shyamalan can't make scary movies. And if somebody says, oh, what about The Sixth Sense? Shut up, that's not scary. So the next thing he made, correct me if I'm wrong, was maybe The Happening?
I'm pulling up his filmography right now.
So
we'll say The Happening.
I mean, are you going to do my argument for me? Or?
Yeah, the next thing was The Happening.
Actually, yeah, well, I'm going to move it over to Jay for a little bit, because you guys have been talking for a little bit. I just want to split it up.
Because I'll interject with you right now as far as, like, the scary movies. I don't care what you fucking say. Signs was a scary movie. Okay? It creeped you out because you never fucking saw anything. And then when you saw it, yes, it wasn't physically scary. But it was creepy. You know what I mean? Alright, so let me explain to you, though, why he's a terrible fucking director, writer, and actor. He's in, like, every one of his movies, almost. Like, anybody who puts themselves in his own fucking movies as much as he does should be shot.
Argument!
Okay.
Okay? No, your argument can be anybody who is an actual actor and can fucking act. Cool. Okay? Yes, I believe that there are people that can do that, but M. Night Shyamalan cannot put him... He is not a good actor. I do not find any role he does appealing. Even his little cameos. Not really that appealing. Okay? So let's talk about that. Yes, he made you think, Charles. He did make you think. But he made you think with the dumbest fucking shit you could possibly think of. Yes, The Happening. The plants are now fucking turning us against ourselves.
I just want to do a quick interjection so you guys have material to use. I'm looking at both directors' filmography. And they both have a very interesting career, whereas they started out strong and then fizzled into nothing. M. Night Shyamalan, his prominent films, and we've got Sixth Sense, then Unbreakable with Bruce Willis, and Samuel L. Jackson.
Samuel L. Jackson, which was actually a really good film.
You got Signs, The Village, Lady in the Water.
Village was another one I was going to be bringing up.
Then you're right, The Happening was after Lady in the Water. Then you get some really not great stuff. Last Airbender was after that, followed by After Earth.
In my opinion, I liked After Earth.
And then the current things, I mean, he's got the Wayward Pines TV show, which he's directing right now, which isn't getting the worst reviews. As far as Michael Bay goes, his early career was pretty good. I mean, besides some music videos, I mean, he's got Bad Boys, The Rock, Armageddon, Pearl Harbor, Bad Boys 2. After that, it's The Island, all the Transformers movies, and then Ninja Turtles.
Speaking of which, I would totally like to see The Last Airbender, but done as a real action miniseries or something of that nature.
That was the problem. He was
watching.
trying to make a book into a film.
Yeah, I know. It was. But I thought it was good. To be perfectly honest with you, no, it didn't follow like the book and everything. But like for the movie as itself, it's like going to watch Harry Potter and nitpicking everything they took out of it. Okay, go see a movie for the movie.
So much.
It's like watching the Avengers and all that stuff now. Like everybody's stories are different, and just take it as it is. You know. But going on. Sorry, we could debate Last Airbender stuff for a while, but
it's still on you. I mean, tell us more about M. Night Shyamalan.
Like I said, I mean he. In a way, Charles, like you said, he does make you think, but he makes you think in the dumbest ways possible. I mean, movies like The Village, come on, please, really? Some fucking guy decides him and a group of people, they're just going to move to some isolated area and make their own town and laws, and they're not going to have to abide by anything. Like, they have this land that nobody's allowed to come on. You know what I mean? Like,
I will hold my nose on that.
But... things like Lady in the Water. Yes, he let everybody depict how that movie went. He really did.
Well, that was.
But he also did. Stuart Little. He did.
M. Night Shyamalan directed Stuart Little.
He didn't direct Stuart Little, but he was part of Stuart Little.
So. You guys have kind of argued why your directors were bad directors,
Michael
bad choices.
Bay
but,
is a fairly decent director.
Yeah, that was my next question I was going to ask. But, so tell me, what is it about the other director that makes them just better than the director you chose? I mean, Charles, why is M. Night Shyamalan a better director than Michael Bay?
Why is M. Night Shyamalan? Because even if you say it's a dumb premise, the underlining reason for it, he might take things and say, oh, it is a village of people who went away from society, but if you actually sit down and talk about it, why did they leave society? Because society is corrupt and they don't want their children to be corrupted. Nobody wants their children to be corrupted. Am I correct? That's something that we can talk about.
You're probably correct, yeah.
Yeah, but as a parent, I will interject on that one. As a parent, it is my job to make sure that my children don't become corrupt.
And that's why they left. That's why they left the city.
No, they are subsidizing themselves from everything. They're saying that they can't make it in the world, so their children aren't going to be able to make it in the world. Just because I'm an asshole doesn't mean that my daughters are an asshole.
No, they were saying
mean that my son's an asshole, but it doesn't. You know what I mean? That's my job as a parent. So he's written a story saying that he's going to, these people are quitting on society.
All right. You're acting as if this is a ridiculous premise. They're essentially just Amish.
When it comes to that,
Amish people have planes fly over their fucking property, buddy.
He wasn't saying
airspace all you want.
He wasn't saying that they were trying to remove them because they weren't going to make it. What he was saying was, why go the adults were messed up. Yes, they were messed up, but they were concerned for their children because they had seen how their fathers had failed, how they had failed. and they didn't want it to
all
become
their
a deceptive
stories were
thing.
personal, not about any of their fathers or anything like
Yes,
that.
it was. He said one of the stories. My father earned everything from $1. He went out one day and a man stabbed him for nothing.
All right, point taken. That was, I do remember.
Yes,
that speech.
it was stories
Point
about
taken.
them
All right,
and their fathers and descendants. And then if you want to talk about Lady in the Water, nobody actually made him make that the way it was. In my personal opinion, I liked it. It was a child's story that he told to his children. The reason why everybody got upset is because of the trailers. If you remember the trailers, they did them wrong. Not that because they revealed anything. It was because it looked like a scary movie, and everybody's like, this is a scary movie. This is going to be awesome. And then they watched it. They're like, this is not a scary movie. This is not awesome. They weren't looking at it right. And so they're like, we want something violent, or we want something scary. So he's like, I'll make The Happening. He tried to cater to the audience. And so what his problem is he lets the audience conduct his life. Who conducts Michael Bay's life? Nobody. He makes these things like Transformers with testicles. He wanted that in the film. He was specifically
Further
went out of his way.
interjection, in one of the most recent Transformers movies, does anyone recall the two jive-talking robots that are obviously parodies of urban youth?
Really? You
They're fucking inner city. They're fucking inner city robots.
Okay.
But my point is,
Michael Bay just put him in there because.
When I say, and he has done things on his own, like Avatar: The Last Airbender, we can argue whether that's good or not. And then he made
I
Devil.
think we can all agree it was not.
And we can we can make
The film,
arguments.
for what it is, was decent to
The
watch.
Devil's-
We're not arguing about Avatar. He made Devil next. He made other things.
That's Devil's a really good movie.
He
in my
makes
opinion.
movies, and he has something to say. When I watch a Michael Bay film, other than his previous works, I sit and I say, what is Transformers trying to teach me other than if I get really close to him, I might explode?
Okay, Jay, why is Michael Bay a better director than M. Night Shyamalan?
Because he's still making movies. Okay, M. Night Shyamalan's not making many, and if he is, maybe there's something coming
actually,
in the future. I think there is like something coming, but
M. Night
he
Shyamalan
said-
has announced that he's done with blockbusters. He's going to only make indie films from now on.
I'm sure. I'm sure, because he's taking the pussy way out. No, I see. In my opinion, Michael Bay is a better director because what Michael Bay essentially is doing, regardless whether or not you want to debate whether the movie is good, he's bringing things to a younger generation. Okay, regardless of how you want to debate on it, Michael Bay is the reason why my kids know what Transformers are now. Michael Bay is the reason why my kids are into fucking Ninja Turtles again and will watch the original Ninja Turtles with me. Okay? Michael Bay is at least putting something out that people know what they're going to watch and they enjoy what they're going to watch. People that pay money to go watch that shit enjoy watching it. Whether you go to the movies and see it or not, or whether you sit at home and watch it, people enjoy it, and that's why they make so much money.
My rebuttal to that is he makes that, but the word that you use, and pardon my French because I don't curse, but he makes that shit.
Yeah.
He makes that.
Yeah.
Yes. He and this is what he's good at. He is an entrepreneur. He realizes that by dumbing something down, he can make it fun for everybody.
For everybody.
So in that aspect, sure, he's better than M. Night Shyamalan, and a lot of people don't like M. Night Shyamalan because he doesn't cater to, I don't know, our brains. Instead, Michael Bay caters to our testosterone and the tiny things. And the reason why I believe M. Night Shyamalan is a better director is because I come out feeling smarter. Every now and then, I do. And I come out feeling like I might have learned something. Michael Bay, he can make movies for the rest of time, dumbing us down while he does, and making us watch things like Transformers with testicles, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We might go back and watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Yes, we might go back and watch these things. And
Nobody's gonna give a fuck.
But can we sit down after TMNT and talk about
And probably TMNT 2.
and 3 and 4
And 10
and TMNT.
Yeah, but
Turtles in Time, please, Michael Bay, make Turtles in Time, because go ahead. But
I don't think you can actually dumb that one down anymore.
that's why I said please make it.
I'll agree with you on that. But how many awards has Michael Bay won, and how many awards? Credible awards.
Because Michael Bay's won a bunch of Razzies, I can tell you that.
Yeah, he's won a bunch of Razzies, but I mean, all right, M. Night Shyamalan has won one Academy Award. One. And that was for The Sixth Sense.
That's one more than Michael Bay has. Honestly,
Michael Bay has won plenty of Academy Awards, Best Directors. He is actually I will be willing to look it up.
No. Yeah, I know. I do.
So
it's one.
There, he at least has credible awards. They both have tons of awards.
Honestly, I've heard what I need to hear to make a ruling. It really came down to the very end, your closing arguments, in which you stated that Michael Bay will be pumping out these movies for a very long time, whereas M. Night Shyamalan is sort of fading into obscurity a little more. Whether or not the movies are good, that's not necessarily part of this debate. Could have been incorporated more. But I think based on the arguments alone, I have to say I would agree that M. Night Shyamalan is a worse director than Michael Bay.
Where is my damn queen?
Now I know arguments are all over, but when it comes to fading into obscurity, that doesn't mean that he's a worse director. There are directors who are phenomenal.
No, well, yeah,
who've made only
that
one
have
or
made
two or
that
three.
have made a choice to
2001: Space Odyssey. Look at that, and think about that, and then think about people who continually make films, and they're still making
Stanley
films.
Kubrick is still making films.
No, yes, I know, but he's lesser known. He makes films that not too many people see.
Now, to counter that, I will say...
I wouldn't say he's lesser known.
I would say he's lesser known. He doesn't make films as frequently.
Does everybody here know Michael Bay films?
You say the name Michael Bay, everyone's like, explosion guy. You say the name Stanley Kubrick, everyone's like, great director. Yeah. You say the name M. Night Shyamalan,
no,
what a twist guy.
That guy's weird.
Yeah.
That guy's weird. Go up to my 15-year-old nephew or niece and say, Michael Bay. They'll say, oh, you mean like Transformers? You go up to him and say, Stanley Kubrick. He will say, who's that? You say M. Night Shyamalan, they might say, didn't he make something about aliens? It's not about how many people know. It's about the quality, not quantity. That's my personal opinion.
I just want to point out also that Film Theory did a whole argument about why Michael Bay is a good director.
Oh, did they really?
Yes, they did.
Oh,
he actually graduated top of his film school.
Why didn't you bring that into the
argument? Because that would have been counter of our argument.
Oh.
Yeah. See, once again,
there you go.
Thank you to Charles actually for doing most of my argument for me. He really just helped me. You know, man, help me help you. It's cool.
All right, so actually, yeah, congratulations, Uncle Jay. Guest winning. You have now won the title of Master Debater. Also,
I needed a title for that.
You have also won the special prize. This is a Minions keychain that fell out of my Lucky Charms this morning.
You know what, man? This is the coolest damn prize I've ever gotten in my life, and I'm totally going to play with it and not let my children play with it. It is going to be mine and mine alone.
Fun. We should do another debate.
Is it the one that cusses?
Yeah. The one that cusses?
All right, so there was totally a Minions toy that you could have gotten at McDonald's for a while. I think it was like the purple one or something like that, and it talked. And one of them sounded like it said, fuck it.
That's awesome.
Look it up. They have videos of it online and everything. But yes, they say some hilarious shit.
Great. Okay, we reached the hour mark.
We have.
Which is,
Jesus
fine.
Christ.
I think this has been a fun episode.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I had fun.
So
excellent, guys.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on the show, Uncle Jay. I'd love to have you back.
Anytime.
Thomas, any closing things?
Except on days that I can't do it.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Oh, Jesus, that microphone is really close to me. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
Today, Junior.
And also, wagga ding dong.
Make this thing impossible to get into.
That's what he said.
Alright, bye.
Transformers, more than meets the eye. Autobots wage their battle to destroy the evil forces of the Decepticons.